Catch 'em in the pasture, run 'em in the pen, work 'em on the Sundays, do it all again. Race 'em in the sand, buck 'em in the mud, drip a cowboy's sweat, bleed a cowboy's blood.
Oh yeah, you know what that is. You know what time it is now. It's time to burn your ear holes. All right, what's going on? Pepper Stewart, the Pepper Stewart right here. The one and only, often imitated, never duplicated, here to talk about stuff with you guys. I've had a lot of questions about stuff on the internet, yeah. There's a lot of stuff on the internet. A lot of stuff. I stepped in stuff when I was out there feeding them cows, too, so I'll let you know about that. Anyway, got a good show. A great show for you guys. Great show. Got a couple of guests. Going to talk with a world-renowned photographer taking pictures all around the world, publicized everywhere you can think of. Tiffany Baumgartner. Going to visit with her. Also, all the way out in Los Angeles, California, Dr. Susan Swim and David, we're going to talk to them about some horse therapy that they're doing out there. It's a great deal that they've got going on. We're going to visit with them about that. That's what's going on. Deer hunters, stop being upset. Y'all are like, what happened? Well, I don't know. An episode or so ago, I made the mention about the deer hunters that you're not a deer hunter if you go sit in your deer stand and shoot a deer that walks up there to eat like it's done every day. That's not hunting. Hunting is when you go out in the woods, you follow, you track, you look for stuff, you find it, and you shoot it. That's hunting. It's not stalking. That's what you guys are doing, stalking. So don't get upset with me, because that's what you do. Anyway, I just give you a hard time. Anyway, stuff's going on. Stuff's happening. Tickets have been announced. We did the giveaway for the Global Cup, the PBR Global Cup. Those of you that won tickets will be announced on the Facebook page. We did contest on multiple social media sites. The winners will be announced on the Facebook. If you go to the Facebook, which is Pepper Stewart's Texas Ranch and Rodeo Weekly, that's where it's going to be. Find the flyer of the contest, and the winners will be commented below and notified. So that's a good deal. Which that also brings my next point is the American Rodeo, RFD TV's The American, AT&T Stadium. We'll be giving those tickets away now, because now it's time for the American giveaways, and we've got some great packages to give away for that. We'll tell you about that later on, probably in the next week. So probably about the second week of January. Keep an eye out for contest. Cattle news, cattle prices. I'm going to get into that a little bit. We're going to talk to you about wintering your cattle. Winter's already hit most of you up north. Down here in Texas, it's starting to hit us now. So we're going to mention that briefly. We've got some bull riding to talk about. Other than the Global Cup, there's some more bull riding to talk about. Get into that. Netflix. What are you watching on Netflix? I recently watched some stuff over the Christmas time. We checked out some stuff. I'm going to tell you about that. Tell you about something else coming out soon on Netflix. We've got some folks that set a world record in something odd, which every time I get one of these world record things, they're all odd stuff that people get world records in. So we're going to tell you about that. Did you win the lotto? Who won the lotto? I don't know. What I do know is this, and that's cow stuff. If you go to pepperstewart.com and you're looking for the latest cattle market news, cattle market reports, nothing has been updated since last year. I know it doesn't seem like that long ago, but last year was the latest update in the cattle market news. Probably next second week in January, about the second week of January, when all the cattle sales are running on the regular schedule, we will update you with your cattle market news and prices, because everybody wants to know what cows are bringing and where they're bringing it. We're going to tell you about that. Right now I'm going to tell you about wintering your cattle, because down here in Texas it's getting cold. Today we had our first freeze, I guess, in the North Texas area. Finally got some icicles on some things. So wintering your cattle, I'm going to give you a few tips on how to winter your cattle. How about we give you 7 tips and bust some myths? Everybody likes being a myth buster. All right, let's do this. Focus on the body condition score. The number one way to reduce cold stress in cattle is to improve the body condition score. Have a good body condition score going into winter does 2 things. First, a cow's body condition score between 5 and 6 has a layer of fat insulation, helping her conserve body heat. Second, cows in good body condition are likely to have a good diet, which can result in nice warm winter hair coats. Deliver more feed to your cattle. Make sure your cows have enough feed and water, because the cow's feed intake will increase by about 20% in cold weather. So before the temperatures drop, what you probably should have been doing last week was increasing your feed amount and providing a little bit more hay. And that's kind of what we did out here on the ranch. So we stockpiled some hay out there for the cows, so they'll be ready to go. Number 3, separate your thin cows. If you got thin cows mixed in with the rest of the herd, they probably won't get the nutrition that they need to maintain a good body score. So separate your thinner cows or your young cows, old cows, and kind of help take the feeding pressure off of those cows. Once you get them separated, make sure they got plenty of food to eat, access to good mineral. Good mineral, I can't stress enough to put out some good mineral, some good supplement for your cattle. If you can't separate them, then feed some free choice supplement, like I mentioned. Protein tubs. Give them access to some good stuff. Especially free choice supplements are the best. If you can go get a big tub, we get 3 or 4 of them big tubs and put out per pasture, and that always works out. Put up a windbreak. If you got a lot of open range, put out windbreaks. We've got built-in windbreaks out here called cedar trees, and that's where the cows go to break the wind. They get behind the cedar trees. When you winter cattle, it's always important that the wind chill affects the cow just like it does people. So you want to keep them out of the wind as much as possible. If your cow doesn't have a windbreak, then they're going to feel the full effect of the wind, and that's going to not help your body condition. Next up, we're going to provide cattle mineral supplement, like I already mentioned. Make sure they got plenty of mineral and supplement out there to keep them going. 6, pick up sticks. Let's keep the environment clean. When you're wintering your cattle, it tends to get real muddy, especially here in North Texas again. We've been getting rain like you wouldn't believe. I don't know who's out there praying for rain, but you can knock that off until about June, all right? You did good. Good job. Good job, all of you guys praying for rain. You did great. Double thumbs up. Stop. Don't do it again until June. So keep a good, clean environment. Mud reduces insulation in the cow's hair. You don't want to tromp around in mud. For instance, if a cow is clean and dry, she may be okay down about 5 degrees. But if a cow's dirty, then her temperature may go up about 20 degrees. You don't want that to happen. Give your cows plenty of space. Move the hay rings, feeding stations to limit a creation of muddy areas. Yeah, I've got a bunch of muddy areas out there in the pasture where I've been rotating the hay. Whenever it dries up one of these days, I'll get the tractor out there and do a lot of spreading. Last but not least, break the routine. You tend to feed cattle on a routine. When you go feed every other day, every couple of days, whenever you're feeding, you feed on a routine. We put out small amounts of feed per day, because we think that's what they need, but pay close attention to your temperature and watch your cows. When you know it's going to be cold the next few days, increase your feed at least about 24 hours or so in advance. Give your cows a head start. And feed your cows after the storm. That's helpful to get some weight back on them. Also, cold weather myth busting. We're going to bust some cold weather myths.
I'd rather not.
Oh, but I will. I'm going to do it. Cows, here's the myth. Cows in snow, with snow on their backs, are colder than cows without snow. That's the myth. Cows with snow on their backs are actually warmer. The snow on their backs is an indication that they are retaining their body's heat. You often see fat cows with an inch or two of snow on their backs, while thin cows are wet because they're losing heat and melting snow. Myth number 2. Snow will provide enough water for cattle. No. It's hard for cows to eat snow to make up the 10 gallons of water they need per day. Plus, they burn off a lot of calories to consume cold snow. So make sure you got plenty of water access even though you got snow out there. And if you're out there with your cows and you see some snow and you want to, grab a snowball or two and throw it around or take a big bite, just make sure it is not yellow. Myth number 3, if you feed cows at night, they'll get more out of it. If you're in a situation where you're seeing a difference from overnight feeding to day feeding, you're probably not meeting the cow's requirements. Make sure your cow's got plenty of feed 24/7. You got night owl cows. They like to hang out at night,
Well, you're the expert.
No, that's not me. That's the other guy. He just looks like me. That's our cow stuff. I'll tell you what other stuff we got. Let's go ahead and talk about photography and pictures with Tiffany Baumgardner and see what she's got going on.
All right, so we're talking about photography, taking pictures and such, and with that, we've got Tiffany Baumgardner right here, all the way from Europe in Ohio.
I am up in Ohio, yes.
That's a long way from Texas, but that'll work. All right, so tell us, Tiffany, about photography and kind of what drew you into photography.
So I've always been an art-minded individual. I was actually a fine artist. I did the drawing and the painting, all of that. And in high school, I had a high school art teacher put a camera in my hand, and it was just kind of love at first photo.
All right. Now, as far as shooting pictures, what are your favorite things to shoot? Of everything that you shoot, because you shoot a wide range of objects, what is your favorite to shoot?
My favorite thing to shoot is actually equestrians. I just love the interaction between the horse and the rider. It's fairly unpredictable, too. You really never know what's going to happen when you go out to shoot those events.
And do you mainly shoot up where you're from? Do you do some traveling? Have you traveled to other countries to shoot?
I have traveled all over the world, about 17 international countries, 25 international cities, somewhere up around 25 U.S. states. I tried to get around.
That's a little bit everywhere. Now, some of your work has been published, been featured in some books and some magazines, displayed at Times Square. Of all the places that your photographs have appeared, what was your surprising when you're like, wow, I can't believe that happened?
The Louvière in Paris, back in 2015, I had actually entered into an international competition, and a select range of photos were displayed in the Louvière for about a month. So that just kind of blew my mind. It wasn't that I won the competition. It's just that I met the criteria and did well enough to get displayed. So that was really cool.
Now, do you have any specific projects that you're currently working on?
Yes, I am actually working on a rodeo photo book that I'm currently slated to release in June of this year. It's looking like it's going to be about 170 pages of rodeo photography.
And where do you shoot most of your rodeo? Are you going to, local events, professional events? Where do you go shoot?
I shoot a lot of local rodeos. They're all usually through rodeo associations, SEBRA, the International Pro Rodeo, American Pro Rodeo. The farthest I've traveled to Georgia shooting rodeos right now.
All right. And when you're shooting rodeo, what is your favorite event to shoot?
Oh, gosh. So I love the calf roping and the roping events. They're a lot harder to shoot than it seems like they would be. There's a lot of action. The calf can go this way, the calf can go that way. I've had a calf hit the rail right up front of me as I was shooting, so it's always fun.
And that's the thing with rodeo. You never know what's going to happen because when the animal is involved, there's you don't blow the whistle. Okay, everybody stop. Let's start over.
Yeah, it's a live event. Like anything can happen. I've seen cowboys have to get flown out on choppers. We've had to stop the events for that. Animals are unpredictable, which is what makes it fun to shoot, but also incredibly difficult.
Right. What goals do you have as far as photography? Do you have anything in mind that you're looking forward to that you could think, if I could go shoot this or if I could shoot that, that would be perfect?
I'm really getting more into commercial photography, so that's been the last focus for the last couple years. And I've been doing graphic design and billboards and stuff like that. So I really would love to get into doing more things with like Wrangler and stuff like that, shooting for their magazines.
Okay. And if people wanted to find you, say somebody's out in your area or near and they'd like to have you come shoot them, or they just want to look up your work and see what you've done, where could they find you?
So they can find me at exposureonestudios.com. All of my work is there. You can view client galleries. And then social media-wise, I'm on Facebook at Exposure One Studios. I'm also on Instagram at Exposure One Studios. I tend to post daily on Instagram. And I interact with everybody pretty much through there. That is my primary social media site at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, and that's something that I always find interesting is with all the different social media sites out there, which one is your go-to? So Instagram is going to be your go-to site.
Yeah, Instagram is my go-to site. I am on there very frequently. I interact with people from all over the world, different galleries. I'm always talking to people, so it's a very inclusive site. I think they have like 6.7 billion people using it. So.
Okay. Well, that's where we'll send them to. So as you said, exposureonestudios.com is where they can find you. They can look you up, see past work, book you, schedule you, and all that good stuff.
Yes.
All right, that works. And Tiffany, we appreciate you visiting with us and telling us about your photography and kind of what you do and where they can find you. And we'll see you down the road.
Okay, thank you.
All right, how about that? That's some good stuff, because you always wonder when you see pictures on the internet, you see pictures on anywhere, billboards, you see pictures of this or that or the other, especially social media, because there's a lot of pictures out there. You always wonder, what's the backstory? What's the backstory on that picture? The photographer taking that photo, what's their thought process? What are they doing? Where have they been? Where do they come from? And that's what we want to know. We wanted to know, you wanted to know, and now you know. If you don't know, now you know. But what about world records? Do you want to be a world record holder? Is that what you want to be? You want to be a world record holder for something?
What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is this. Wyoming couple. A married couple in Wyoming is being officially recognized by Guinness World Records after assembling a 2-person tent in just over a minute. What? What do you? I don't I don't get it. I don't get that.
Absolutely.
So Daniel and Elizabeth said that Guinness reviewed evidence from their attempt, including a video, and declared that they had captured the record for the fastest time to erect a 2-person tent by a team of 2. What? We were super excited for receiving word from Guinness. We also thought it was going to be rejection because they kept asking for more evidence. The couple said they had initially been aiming for a time of a minute or less, but they gave up on that goal after discovering that Guinness required them to put the rainfly on the tent and zip up the door flaps once both participants were inside. So you had to put this tent together and get inside of it. It was really easy to beat a minute when you didn't have to get in the tent. The fastest time to erect a 4-person tent, which was accomplished by a team of 10, is listed in Guinness as a minute 58, 55. 1 minute, 55 seconds, and 55 tenths. So you get 4 persons to get erected by a 10-person. A 4-person tent gets erected by a team of 10, and a 2-person tent gets erected by a team of 2. Now, when you're going camping, it's supposed to be relaxing for folks that like to go camping. I don't go camping because I'm camping right now. Except I'm in a house out in the middle of nowhere, so it's the same thing, kind of. Except I don't have to go use a bucket behind a tree. I just got a bathroom in the house. But you're supposed to be relaxing when you go camping. So who's rushing to put the tent together? You take your time, put the tent together. And my question is this. A married couple putting together a tent? Have you seen a married couple putting together anything? How does that go over? How about working cows? You want a married couple to go work cows? You find out a lot of stuff about each other working cows. That's a fact. That is a fact.
What are you implying?
I'm just implying stuff happens. That's all I can tell you. Bull riding, PBR. New York, Madison Square Garden, New York City. Yeah, New York's Madison, kicking off the first weekend of January. Up there, Madison Square Garden is going to kick it off. And then by the time next month rolls around, they will be here in Texas at AT&T Stadium with the Global Cup. That's gonna be good. It's gonna be the first time that I don't quote me on this, but I believe it's the first time the Global Cup has been in the United States. I think it's been in the other countries so far, and it's gonna be in none other than Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Texas, right down the road. Not only do they have the Global Cup going on, but also out in the fan zone, you're going to have the miniature bull riders with the miniature bull riding going on. And also, don't forget, the best sport on dirt, freestyle bullfights. Now, don't get confused if you don't know what that means. It's not Spanish bullfights killing bulls. That's not what it means. I still have to explain that. Every time I go to school or college somewhere and talk about bullfighting, I still have to explain that. It's 2018. We should know better by now. Stop believing everything you see on the internet. All right, let's go with this. We got a good deed right here. Good deed. Getting lost, but then leads to a house payment? What does that even mean? A North Carolina woman said doing a good deed for Christmas and ending up lost led her to winning $200,000 lottery jackpot. Georgia, I'm not going to relieve her last name. I don't know why they did in this story. But Georgina. Sorry, Georgina. She is in North Carolina. So Georgina told the North Carolina Education Lottery Office she stopped by a church on Christmas Eve to donate a turkey. They give a turkey away to people in need every year. This time, I helped cook them. While I was out, I figured I'd pick up the barbecue I ordered for Christmas dinner the next day. Well, she got lost after she left the church and ended up stopping at a Circle K store in Shelby and asked for directions. While inside the store, she thought, you know what? Why don't I just grab a Powerball Mega Million scratch-off ticket? Why not? Well, that why not turned into $200,000. When she saw the matching numbers, she couldn't believe she actually won. She said, wow, what a blessing. And she's going to take her winnings and buy a house. Huh. You going to donate any of that to the church? Or are you just going to buy a house with all of it? She'll probably donate some. They just left that out of the story. She did cook turkeys for the church, so that counts for something. So no good deed goes unnoticed. Look at that. You're out there helping others, and things happen. That's how it works. TV, Netflix. Are you watching Netflix? What do you watch on Netflix? I don't know. Do you watch Netflix?
I'd rather not.
Well, why? I don't know why you you don't want to watch Netflix. There's a lot of shows that are on there. There's a lot of shows on there, and you could watch a lot of stuff.
Well, no thanks.
All right. Well, anyway, if you are a fan of Stranger Things, your wait is over or not. It's over if you can wait till July the 4th. The third season of the supernatural series Stranger Things is scheduled to debut July 4th on Netflix. If you watch Stranger Things, I've watched, after all the hoopla about it, so we watched it and check it out. Then the second season it kind of went off track a little bit. So with the third season, I don't know if they're going to keep you there, or if everybody's going to go off. If you're going to go off rails too far, you're going to lose people. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm sure we'll watch it and see what happens. Something else that happened. I didn't watch it. I came in the house and caught the wife watching it, and she was watching the Bird Bath on Netflix, or Bird Box, Bird Bath, Bird Box. I don't know. I saw a bunch of memes and stuff on the internet already beforehand. So when I walked in and saw Sandra Bullock wearing a blindfold and some kids in a boat going down a river, and then they fell out of the boat and they had blindfolds on, and then all of a sudden they made it back to the beach, to the bank, and then they walked around and ended up in a house. I don't know how that happened. Now, I saw about 5 minutes of that show. That's all I saw. But apparently it's making the rounds, and people are doing what stupid people on the internet do, and they're putting on blindfolds and trying to reenact stuff. And I don't know how many times I have to say this. You can't believe everything you see on TV, people. Yes, kids put on blindfolds, fell out of a boat, floated down a river and got on the bank, and they walked to a house. That was TV. That's not real life. I don't know how many times I've got to tell you not to do what you see on TV. I don't understand what's wrong with folks, and I see them doing it all the time. But anyway, so I didn't get it, but apparently the hoopla with that was all these millennial type kids that are throwing out pictures of Sandra Bullock, and they don't know who it is, and they're saying, "Oh, well, that's the lady from Bird Box." What? Do you not know who that is? Come on, if you're gonna watch TV, you're gonna watch movies, do some research, at least know what you're talking about, guys. Come on, you make yourself look dumb, or dumber than you already are. I don't know. I've been watching. We started over the Christmas. I guess it was Christmas or New Year's, somewhere in between there. I don't know. I got froze I went to the Gaylord Texan and I froze looking at ice sculptures. It's 9 degrees or negative 9 degrees. I don't know what, somewhere in there, but it's cold, real cold. They give you a parka to wear when you go inside, so that'll tell you something. I wasn't sure. I was like, I got on a coat already, but if you're gonna give me a bigger coat, sure. I don't care for the cold. When I walked through those doors into that ice, whatever it was, sculpture thing. As soon as I walked in, I was ready to find the exit. It was cold. And then everybody's taking pictures. And they're telling me, what, take some pictures? You know how froze my hands got trying to hold my phone and take pictures? That was not a good idea. It was neat. I'll give it that. It was neat to see the ice sculptures and how, they spent a lot of time sculpting out the Rudolph. I guess it's from the original Rudolph cartoon, all the characters and stuff through there. And they had all that. Then they had an ice bar, which I didn't get that. They had an ice bar down there. And you could buy drink tickets before you go in to get a drink at the ice bar. And I'm thinking, it's really cold down there. The last thing you want is a cold drink. So when I went to walk through and I saw the ice bar, I took a picture of it. But I didn't see anybody in there. The bar was made of ice. The bar stools were made of ice. Everything in that whole walkthrough was made of ice. And very cold. Very cold. Not a fan of cold. It was neat to see. I can say I did it and I was there. I don't care to do it again. But what I do want to let you know about, I almost bypassed this. Back in the old days, everybody likes to throw out back in the 90s. I don't say that enough, or I probably do, and that's why people say I say it too much. Back in the 90s, somewhere in there, through junior high, we used to go to town and spend a lot of time at the roller rink. And I thought I was going to be fancy and special and get a pair of rollerblades. And for a long time, I was the only kid sliding around a skate rink in my rollerblades, doing limbo, jumping the stick, and doing all that stuff. Anyway, it's been a long time since junior high. A long time. So we went to the Enchantment Lights thing they had at the ballpark in Arlington, and they had ice skating. So I had to make a contemplation right there. I've never ice skated in my life. So I thought, it can't be any different than rollerblading. So why not try it? And surprisingly, I didn't fall down. I jumped on the ice, skated around about 3 times, and I was like, I did it. You saw me. There's even a video out there. That's good enough for me. I'm out. I'm not taking a chance of busting my butt or my head open on the ice. I don't like cold. I don't like falling. And there's tons of kids that fall down in front of you all over the place on that thing. And I was wondering when you walk by it around the rink, they've got 2 or 3 EMS carts, stretchers, and you got the medical staff right there waiting. I was like, it's happened before. All right, let's get back to Netflix. I don't know what I was doing. Let's go back to Netflix. Over the New Year's, we started watching a new show. We have a lot of shows on our watch. And we started watching a series called Ozark. Wasn't sure what it was. The picture that it shows for the advertisement, it doesn't look like something I want to watch, but I've heard a lot about it, and it's got good actors in it. So I thought, why not? Let's check it out. Well, anyway, right now we're halfway through the 2nd season, and I gotta say, it's pretty good. It better than I thought it was gonna be. It's pretty good. So if you haven't watched it, check it out. See what you think, and let me know. I told you about the PBR. I told you about TV. I told you about the lottery. I told you about winning stuff. I told you about a lot of things. But what I haven't told you about is Los Angeles. Los Angeles. So earlier, I had visited with the folks from Los Angeles to talk about the horse therapy that they're doing out there. And it's a great deal because horses, anybody that's been around horses, rides horses, has horses, you all know what horses do for you and how you feel when you're with your horses. And when you're out on a ride, going out across the country, going across the pasture or going down a road, you're just kind of in your own, world, so to speak. And you just, it does something. Well, anyway, they figured it out as well. And out there in California, they've got a great deal going on. And I visited with them earlier, so here's what happened.
All right, Pepper Stewart here, along with Dr. Susan Swim and David A. We're going to talk about horses, we're going to talk about therapy, and we're going to talk about something that they've got going on over in Los Angeles, California, and it's called Now I See a Person Institute. You can also look it up at nowiseeaperson.com and check out what they've got going on in California. It's a great deal with some great people and good horses. You always have good horses. And with that, have you always been in California, or did you just accidentally end up there?
Well, believe it or not, that I grew up here, and then my dad was with the space program, so we moved to Nassau Bay when I was 13, and then my daughter and I moved back here in 2002. So I was in, and I'm going to be 64, so I was in Texas for a very long period of time.
Okay, we'll count that. We'll count that.
I think
now, now tell us a little bit about your horse background.
Okay, perfect. So when my dad was one of those, even though he worked for the space program, he was raised in the Rio Grande Valley. And so he has these stories that when he was a little boy that his dad would tie him onto a horse to do these cattle drives. And so when my daughter was young, he bought her 2 horses. And so we rode those horses doing a lot of English events in around Houston. We also did some barrel racing with one of the horses. And so it gave my daughter and I a time to bond over an activity that we were doing together. And I always thought, being a therapist, that if she had a nice athletic ability, that would keep her out of trouble when she was in high school, because she would have a lot of self-esteem. And it was exactly what happened. She bonded with these two horses amazingly. So when we moved to California, we brought the horses with us.
When you got to California, you've been in California before. You were in Texas, and you went back to California. Did people not think of horses in California? Because a lot of people, the first thing they don't think of is horses in California, but there's actual cattle ranches and horses in California.
Yes, there are. So when I moved here, one of the things that happened is I had the horses staying about an hour and a half away from our house because you couldn't find any pasture land. And I didn't want to put them in these box stalls when they had been used to pasture land all their lives. We would visit our horses, but we would not be riding them like we were, a couple of times a week while we were in Texas, and then she was off to college. In 2007, I got an email from Texas about doing therapy with horses. And at that point in time, I was a professor at Loma Linda University, and I was teaching in their marriage and family therapy program. I thought to myself, I can start working with the horses, because I thought I was a pretty good therapist and I knew horses. I missed my horses. I brought my horses, from 60 miles away to a barn near where I live. And at first I was using the students from the university, and doing therapy with horses was like night and day. It was like magic or miracles occurred with the first clients that we saw. And we started doing that in 2007. And then eventually I retired from the universities and started doing this full time.
Something about a horse, just something about it brings things out of people.
It brings joy. It brings comfort. It brings love and nurturance. Our horses were athletes before we turned them into therapy horses. And now their main job is to give and receive love all day long. Most of the clients that we see, we call it the underserved population, because they haven't succeeded in traditional therapy. So it might be young teenagers, it might be young adults who have had a lot of trauma, and maybe they've been hospitalized, put on medication, had lots of different therapy, and they're still suicidal and they're still symptomatic. And they come here and they're able to heal and go on with their lives, reunite with their families, go to college, and have wonderful lives. And it's all really about the type of environment that we provide for them here. And the horses, we still have our original horses. One is going to be 35. The other one's 29. And then we have 4 more horses. We have a mother that we rescued in a absolutely the most darling baby 2-year-old that is so calm. It's just amazing. David had never been, he's a therapist and a lawyer as well, and he had never been around a horse before he came and became a staff member here. So maybe, David, you could talk about the horses and the therapy.
I came to this ranch environment. It was like me coming from, I guess to use, astronautical terms, I came to Mars, because I'm a total city slicker. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, went to UCLA, went to law school here, wore a suit and tie every day. It was the Wild West, but not the kind of Wild West like out on the ranch. It was the Wild West in the courtroom. I went back to school and got my master's in clinical psychology and worked at a terrible place before this. It was like a jail-like setting, pretty much. Clients were mistreated and they never got better. And then I came here and to the ranch, and I was around horses for the first time in my life. It just sort of worked. I don't know. I just felt like I could breathe. I felt like I was alive. I felt calm myself. I felt like my skills as a therapist became better because of the environment and because of the horses. I could deal with really serious issues in a very calm way because of the environment that we were in. Clients, trusted us almost immediately because of the horses and because of the environment. They weren't sitting in the office with 4 walls and a fluorescent light shining above. They were outside with the sun shining above and feeding apples to horses. So it was an entirely different experience for me and for the clients. And I've been here about I don't even know, 5, 6 years already. And I feel like I've grown as a human being and can't imagine my life without horses now. So that's a little background.
It's just something about being around a horse that it's just calming and feel like you get along.
Totally. It's, every time they see me, they all greet me in their own particular way.
And the funny thing that we learned about doing this is that, especially your most critical clients, whether they be children or teens or adults, is that we have up to a 98% recovery here, especially for clients that, again, have had a tremendous amount of trauma, and that there was no movement and therapy and prior therapy before they came here. And people used to tell me things, when I would be at different horse barns, especially in Texas, that horses pick certain people and things like this. But it's amazing because the horses do pick certain clients, and certain clients create this incredible, intimate, and loving bond with the horse. So you can imagine if you've been in a tremendous amount of pain and then you come to a place where the therapists do not look like therapists, and they have a wonderful nurturing being that is an equine being to be able to talk about with their therapist about the struggles that they've been going through and about what they want to see happen in the future. Clients that call during the Christmas holidays, things like that, and they still ask, how are the horses doing?
When there were fires around here recently, probably the last 3 months ago or so, and Dr. Swim and I got text message after text message, how the horse is doing, could we do anything, can we help? There's a shelter here, there's a shelter there, providing us with information.
We'll come help you.
Whatever you need, we're here for you. So, we've created this community of people that really care about horses that have never been exposed to horses before.
Now, with your program there that's called Now I See a Person Institute, if somebody's interested in coming out and being a client, or if somebody just wants to help out, seeing what you guys are doing, and just want to help out in a way, what's the best way they can find you, or the best way they can do that?
We're also located on the web at www.nowiseeaperson.com. And one of the reasons why we started calling this Now I See a Person was because we see people that are traveling through problems, not people that are bound to diagnoses. Everybody has the ability to change. And a lot of times people are just seen because, oh my gosh, they're depressed, or they're bipolar, or they're this or that, and they miss the entirety of the whole person. And I think when they come here, that whole person is shown, and they feel safe to show everything. And then that gives them the ability then to start on their journey to healing.
All right, Dr. Susan Swim and David, I appreciate you guys' time visiting with me tonight and letting the folks know about what you got going on out there. Again, with Now I See a Person Institute, be sure and look them up, nowiseaperson.com.
That's where they are. That's where they're at. You can look them up. And when you say Now I See, it's S-E-E, not I-C like the letter C. It's S-E-E like C. I see a person. Anyway. But that's a great deal they got going on over there. Like I say, and it's in Los Angeles, California. You don't think about all the horses being over there in Los Angeles or ranches and things, but they're there. They're out there because a lot of our listeners are in California. We have very high California numbers each and every episode. Texas is pretty high, but California is really high too. So a lot of folks out there in California enjoy what we do. So hopefully they'll enjoy what's going on over there. It'll be a little bit closer to them, and they can go check it out. And if not, just go on the internet and look them up. It's a good thing. What in the world is that? Oh, that's a clock. That's what you're pointing at. Why would you be? Why are you pointing at that clock?
Yeah, now you're getting it.
Yeah, I am getting it. I'm getting it. It's time to get out of here, I guess. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Is that what you're saying?
That's Texan for sayonara.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, if that's what you're kicking me out and we got to go, then we got to go. Anyhow, check us out, pepperstewart.com. Look it up, follow it. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure you subscribe because there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up. We're going to put out, we're still putting out a couple episodes a month while we're in transition. So stay tuned to what's going on, and always jump on the Book of Faces and check it out. You got Pepper Stewart's Texas Rancher Rodeo Weekly on Facebook, and you also have my personal page, The Pepper Stewart. Like them both. Why not? There's stuff on all of them. Other than that, like he said, I've got to get out of here. We've got to get down the highways and byways of Texas.